My name is Okay. Good morning to everyone. My name is Lily, and I'm the national contact point for the European Research Council. I work at the Malta Council for Science and Technology. Just please keep your microphones muted, and please note that this session is going to be recorded, and then we are going to share with you the recording, also the presentations. We'll then also upload them on our YouTube channel. So if you would like to access the recording of our previous webinars, you can find them by searching Horizon Malta, and you will find the recordings of our previous webinars. We started having these webinar Wednesdays back in April, so until now we had quite a few. For this month in May, we had already a session dedicated to widening participation, Eurotom, we had a session dedicated for EIC and SMEs, and also for Marie Skłodowska reactions. And today our webinar will be about the European Research Council. If you have any questions, you can put them right away at the chat box, and we are going to address them towards the end of the session, or maybe sometime in between after each presentation. So we are going to continue with our webinar Wednesdays in June. Here we have the list of what is upcoming. We have a session dedicated to funding and tenders. This session, we also have parts dedicated to consortium building and a live networking event where we'll have participants from Malta, but also from abroad, where they can network and team up for future projects. We also have a session dedicated to financial issues. We'll have a dedicated training for the MSc postdoctoral fellowship proposal writing, and another session on gender issues. Just the agenda for today. So we have our guest speaker from the from the ERC Executive Agency, Janka Matrai, who will explain you the grants. I will also present our support services and talk a little bit about EuroAccess and how you can benefit from it. And we also have a very interesting presentation by another guest speaker, Matthew Ojus, who will share his experience. Now, before we start, just a little warm up. I just prepared 2 questions for you. So if you can please join GoToMenti. Here is the code once again. Go to menti.com and use this code. Okay, so the code is, you can join from the phone or you can join also from your laptops. It's at your convenience. I'm going to open the session. You can continue seeing the code from there. Okay, so here is the code again, 78470131. And the first question is, how familiar are you with ERC? Maybe you have some experience from the past, maybe you heard about it, but you never applied. Maybe you're waiting for the right time to apply. Just please participate so that we'll have an idea where you are standing. Are people joining? Yes, slowly, slowly, yes. I'm asking for maybe more people to join. I don't know if somebody has maybe some difficulties in joining to Menti. Okay. So for now, only 2 people replied, but yet we are seeing that it's mixed audience. Okay, we can go to the next question then, because I'm not seeing much participation here.
Lily, maybe you could use the chat. I think some people are replying in the chat.
Oh, the problem is I'm not seeing the chat because I'm at presenters mode. So if you
Lily, David Vella said his first time looking to apply.
Okay, okay. So they replied in the chat instead of joining. Mm-hmm.
And Matthew has put the link for Menti if they are interested.
Okay. Otherwise, the link is also seen on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, with that question, I just wanted to see how the participants can fit into the ERC grants. Okay. Let's proceed maybe with the main part of the presentations, and okay, there are some more participants now. Okay. So we have somebody who is yet a PhD student, and this was one of the main things that I wanted to promote here, to start preparing the researchers to think from early about ERC. And we also have two people who are fitting in the starting grants and somebody for consolidator or advanced. Let's proceed with the presentation. So for those that are not familiar with ERC, they will learn more about it. And I would like to ask Janka to share her presentation. And of course, please present yourself and continue with the main parts today.
Okay, thank you, Lily. I will start to share. Okay. I think it should be okay now, without bars. Am I correct?
Yes, we are seeing your presentation.
Perfect. Okay, thank you very much, Lily, and thank you all for being here today, joining my presentation. I am Janka Matre. I am a scientific officer in the Life Sciences Unit at the Executive Agency of the European Research Council. And in my presentation today, I'm going to give a brief overview of our funding opportunities under Horizon Europe, which is the new framework program, the framework program of the European Commission supporting scientific research and innovation. And I hope that I will also provide useful information, especially relevant for our Maltese applicants and participants today. So, well, it's not going for a reason or another. Okay, now it's okay. So the new framework program, Horizon Europe, started this year and runs till 2027. And its architecture is organized into 3 pillars, Pillar 1, Pillar 2, and Pillar 3. And the European Research Council, ERC, is located in Pillar 1. And our budget is 16 billion euro for the 7 years. And this is around 17% of the total Horizon Europe budget. The plus behind 16 indicates that this budget can still increase because there are still negotiations ongoing between the associated and hopefully us being associated countries and the European Union. So just because the ERC is in Pillar 1, it doesn't mean that we are isolated or disconnected from the other activities located in Pillar 1 or in the other pillars. And I would like to draw your attention to this overarching activity or group, which is the widening participation and strengthening the European research area. And this is a very important program in this new framework program and really addressing the problems that the countries within this group, the widening participation group, face. These are typically the Eastern European countries, but also, for example, Malta is belonging here, and to some for some period it was Luxembourg also located, but now it's taken out. So in the European Research Council, we have also many initiatives and ideas still in shaping, which address these problems these countries face, and I will talk about this at the end of my presentation. Who we are. So we are the ERC is a funding agency, and we provide long-term grants to to support scientific research. And we support investigator-driven bottom-up research, where we mean bottom-up that we don't have any predetermined topics. We leave the choice of the topic on the researchers. We support individual researchers, the principal investigators, who can come from all over the world. And we like high-risk, high-gain pioneering projects from any field of frontier research and from the three domains of the three main domains: life sciences, physical sciences and engineering, and social sciences and humanities. Of course, multidisciplinary or cross-disciplinary proposals are also more than welcome. I would like to elaborate a little bit on the high risk, high gain term, because this often causes confusion. We mean under risk, high scientific risk, and in terms that we really like risky projects if we can expect that the result will be breakthrough, groundbreaking, and high impact. So we don't mind and actually favor to invest into this risky project with the hope that it will deliver something meaningful, something groundbreaking with high gain at the end. We have three main single PI or mono beneficiary grants. These are the starting, consolidator, and advanced grants. They are very similar in their structure, meaning that you can ask for budget for 5 years, and they are targeting different communities of scientists. The starting grant targets our young scientists who obtain their PhD typically between 2 to 7 years, counting back from the date of application. And the consolidator grant addresses the more consolidated researchers with PhD obtained between 7 to 12 years, counting back from the date of the call. And the advanced grant is addressing our more senior researchers, where we don't look anymore into the years passed since the PhD obtained, but rather into the last 10 years of track record, again counting backwards from the date of the application. The budget you can apply for is also different in the three calls. The starting grantees can apply up to 1.5 million as the basic budget. The consolidator applicants can apply to 2 million as the basic budget, and the advanced grant applicants can apply up to 2.5 million as the basic budget. And I'm emphasizing saying basic because all these budgets can be extended with a so-called extra or startup budget, which is up to 1 million. And of course, this means that really this is the maximum amount, but this is going to be negotiated and evaluated as part of the application during the evaluation process. Next to the main mono beneficiary grants, we have two additional grants called proof of concept and synergy grants. The proof of concept grants is for our already grant holder applicants, which means that only applicants who have starting, consolidator, advanced, or synergy grants can apply for a proof of concept grant. And this grant is supporting the activity of these researchers to verify the marketable potential of an idea, of a result that they obtained from the research conducted with the starting, consolidator, or advanced grant, or the synergy grants. And the amount of money that somebody can ask for with the proof of concept grant is much smaller. It's 150,000 euro. But you can apply as many times you want for a proof of concept grants during the course of your main grant. The synergy grant is a totally different concept, because this is not a mono beneficiary grant, but a consortium grant. And it means that the applicants need to form a consortium prior to application. And the consortium should consist of 2 to 4 principal investigators. They apply together for a budget of up to 10 million euro and for 6 years. These applicants can also apply for the extra budget, again 1 million euro maximum per principal investigator. If you want to know the call deadlines, they are available on our website, so please visit our website. I indicate it here under this link. Sorry. Now about our evaluation process. So our sole evaluation criterion is excellence. And we measure for excellence both, or we evaluate for excellence both the research project and our principal investigators based on the proposal and the CV that is sent in with the application. And when we evaluate the research project for excellence, we evaluate its groundbreaking nature, its potential scientific impact. We don't require per se a societal impact, but we want to know what the scientific impact will be at the end of the project, or what can be expected, and the scientific approach proposed in the application. When evaluating the principal investigator for her or his excellence, then we check for the demonstrated intellectual capacity, creativity, and commitment. I would like to emphasize that the host institution is not an evaluation criterion. We need an agreement between the applicant and the host and any host institution within Europe or an associated country at the moment of application. This is an eligibility criterion, but the type of host institution is not an eligibility criterion, so you can choose any host institution that you see fit for your research. And when we evaluate the excellence of the research project and the principal investigator, we lay a bit more emphasis on the research project than the principal investigator in our evaluation. So, how do we conduct the evaluations? We have 27 panels at the ERC, and these 27 panels are grouped according to 3 main domains: physical sciences and engineering having 11 panels, life sciences having 9 panels, and social sciences 7 panels. Each of these 27 panels are composed of international peer reviewers who are our panel members. And in the step 2 of the evaluation process, a team of remote reviewers join these panel members, but not really joining. They don't participate in the evaluation meeting. Rather, they send in the evaluation remotely as specialist experts to selected proposals, and the remote reviewers are selected by the panel members during the first step of the evaluation. So when our projects arrived and the deadline is passed, then the first thing we do at the ERC is that we check for the eligibility of these proposals. We check for all the documents, whether they are ready, contain the necessary information. We check for this host institution letter, and we double check your PhD. Okay, something happened here. I'm sorry for this. I'm sorry, I don't know what's happening.
On our site, we are just seeing like something gray. We don't see what
I believe it's because of the internet issues at my work. Yes, okay, thank you. So we have 2 steps during our evaluation process. In step 1, we check only for the first part of the proposal, which is called part B1, and the CV and the demo and the provided track record. And in this step, the applicants and the project together can receive 3 scores, A, B, or C. A means that the proposal is passed into the step 2. B means that the proposal was of high quality, but not high enough to recommend for further evaluation. And C means that it was of insufficient quality. At this stage, if a proposal receives B ranking, it means that the applicant is banned for 1 year from reapplication. And if received C, then this ban is for 2 years. That's why I would like to highlight already here at this point that it's extremely important to apply on time, because we have the experience that many of our successful applicants were actually reapplicants, which means that they failed at their first application, so they had to reapply. And if they failed at the first step, they had to skip 1 or 2 years, which means that they had to have enough eligibility time still left in this eligibility window of 2 to 7 years for starting grantee and 7 to 12 years of a consolidator grantee, so that they could reapply. And we see also from our statistics that actually the success rate is constant across the eligibility window. So there is no reason actually to delay your application and to wait until the very last moment when you may run out from your time for reapplication. So if you received an A, then your proposal will go through and will be evaluated in step 2. In this step, the full proposal is evaluated, and there will be an interview where you can discuss the questions raised during the evaluation by the panel members and the remote reviewers, as well as you have chance to defend your budget if there are any questions related to the budget. Not always. Sometimes it's very straightforward and the panel doesn't have any further questions on that. At this stage, your proposal can receive again 2 scores, an A and a B. At this point, we don't give C. A means that your proposal is recommended for funding. Typically, more proposals are recommended for funding than the budget is available. And this means that some of the proposals will be on the reserve list. Some of them will be funded at the end, but not all, obviously. And B means that it was not sufficient of not sufficient quality to be funded. Nevertheless, if you receive a B at step 2, you don't have any ban and you can immediately reapply the next year if you want. At each stage, so both step 1 and step 2, we give a very detailed feedback to our applicants, also those who received an A. And except in step 1, the A grants, A scored applicants don't receive any feedback. They just receive the information that it is passed to step 2. But at step 2, also our funded or recommended for funding proposals and applicants receive a feedback. And it's extremely important because this is the material that you can use to develop your project into a better one if you failed at any of the 2 steps. But even our successful applicants take useful information from our feedback, and they have time and the possibility to readjust the project, because the granting procedure will start and it is a really lengthy negotiation procedure. So you can still do some adjustment and fine tuning at that stage. Here, I would like to draw your attention to some of the misconceptions that we often hear from our applicants when we talk to them or we go to conferences. And so one of them is that ERC funds indeed frontier research, but only basic research. And this is not true. We understand under frontier research also applied and translational research. So I encourage our applicants from this field to apply, because we have many projects which are applied and translational research projects which won a grant. The budget is distributed among the scientific panels according to demand, and this is really true. And I would like to emphasize this because it means that the more applications we receive to a certain panel, the more budget will be available. So the more projects will be able to get funded. The panel descriptors do not represent ERC scientific priorities, and please really I would like to highlight this because some of our applicants think that if we take out some keywords and we use them as descriptors, it means actually that we are looking for this kind of projects. It's not true. We use these descriptors because somehow we need to categorize the incoming proposals, and somehow we need to inform our community along which line they need to try to fit somehow into any of the panels. But as I just mentioned, we have many multi and cross-disciplinary proposals. So these descriptors are just for guiding purposes, not more than that. Now, the success rate is flat across the course, between 12 to 13% for the mono-beneficiary grants and 8% for the synergy grants. And this means that indeed we encourage our applicants to apply early enough within your eligibility window. Don't wait till the last moment. There are also many questions sent to us and asked from us on the publication records, and many of our applicants are convinced that without nature or science or self-publications, if I think in the life sciences domain, you have no chance. This is really not true. I am participating in since 2016, I'm working in the agency, and I participated in all the evaluations for 2 domains, the neurosciences and the bioinformatics panels. And we see how diverse the CV of those proposals and the applicants who are behind those proposals are, which actually win a grant at the end. So we try to evaluate the CV in a holistic way. We move towards the DORA declaration. We take into account special circumstances, and we encourage our applicants to explain their contribution, to somehow narrate their CV so that the panel members really can understand what their contribution is, even if it's not a Nature paper, but there is a breakthrough that is achieved with the research that is published in that particular paper. And again, I would like to highlight that the host institution is not an evaluation criterion. So what is the situation in the widening participation countries? In a nutshell, the problem is that both the application and success rates are much lower than the EU average. The success rate in the EU for the mono-beneficiary grants, the 12 and 13%, as I already mentioned at the previous slide. This figure for Malta is 3%, and over only 37 applications in the 10,000. This year we celebrated our 10,000 grantees, so you can understand that we have 10,000 grantees. How many more applications we had? Because of course we had many which failed. This 10,000 is just the 12-13% plus the synergy grants which succeeded. And so this is an extremely low number. So I really think that one of the main problems is that our applicants or potential applicants from these countries just don't apply because they think that they don't make a chance. And indeed, the difficulties are more, and the situation is more difficult than for applicants from other countries, but nevertheless, it's not hopeless. And so I'm not going to go into the details of the reasons behind this problem, which can be expressed in this very short way, that the application and success rates are lower. If you are interested, there are 2 very good studies conducted in 2018 and 2020, which really go into the details of the reasons behind, and almost at the country-specific level, but nevertheless at the region level, because each region has its own specific issues, why these low numbers are there. So if you are interested, you can read about it in these 2 studies. And there are many programs within this widening participation initiative and overarching activities indicated in the framework program. On the general EU level, all these programs that are here highlighted with this puzzle is available to support the researchers coming from the widening participation countries. And if you are interested, you can find this also on the internet. I put here under the link, and you can dig into the details of each and every action. But we have also initiatives at the ERC. So first of all, dual affiliations with an ERC grant are possible. So we welcome grantees who would keep their affiliation in another host institution. And this typically happens with applicants coming from overseas, or I know actually one grantee who is holding a position in China and another position in Vienna, which is supported by ERC. And indeed, he is 50% sharing his time, and he's a starting grantee. Then, as I mentioned already, you can ask an extra 1 million, up to extra 1 million euro funding above the basic budget for each and every grant, independent whether it's a starting consolidator or advanced or even the synergy grant, to cover startup costs. And startup costs can be different from different background. For example, you move from overseas, or because you want to buy a big equipment for your in your institute, that equipment is not available, so you need one, or because you want to have access to large facilities outside of your country or outside of your host institution. And the 4th category is that you want to embark on a larger field work, for example, which has high associated costs. Then we have so-called visiting research fellowships, and there are a number of countries that fund research visits and these visits are to established ERC projects in order to develop the researchers' potential before they apply for their first ERC grant. This is an extremely useful instrument. I highly recommend to check our website and to require more information on this. And we have a new initiative, which is called the Mentoring Initiative. And this helps our applicants to identify international experts who can provide coaching and advice for our future applicants before they apply for an ERC grant. And finally, of course, it is very useful also, and this is especially useful for our young audience or young potential and future applicants to work in a team which is funded by ERC and to learn how the whole thing functions and to see how the PI who obtained this ERC grant developed her or his research and CV to be in a position to be able to win a grant. We believe that excellence is everywhere, and of course also in the widening participation countries. And so we believe that there is a lot you can do on your own level, taking initiative, reaching out, finding your way, improving your research and CV. But of course, there is much to do also on a higher level. And so I just highlight here in a few bullet points, but I'm sure that later on during this session, you will hear more about that from the other presentators. So, for example, one of the problems which we need to tackle and work on is the lack of experience and capacity of these applicants to manage these projects who come from the widening participation countries, and not the lack of excellence. I would really like to emphasize that. Then we know that in the widening participation countries, we could have better infrastructures, and the existing ones should be improved in many cases. Not all the time, there are top institutions as well, but in many cases. Then besides all the European level actions, which I demonstrated few at the ERC level, and there are all those available at the European level, we believe that local reforms, policy reforms, institutional reforms, mobilization of the research potential, investments, creating and exploiting the pockets of excellence are vitally important. It's very important to improve the networking with and the outreach to the international actors from these widening participation countries. It's also very important to strengthen the role of the higher education sector in research and innovation. And finally, to strengthen the interaction between the host institutions and the national contact points, for example, creating these granting offices or having a granting officer in the host institutions who then have connection with and daily contact with the national contact point officers and colleagues. And in this way, bridging the national contact points and the researchers in the host institution. And finally, I would like to give you some take-home messages. So the first and maybe the most important is that I suggest you and recommend to you to please get informed and be prepared on time. And you can get information from your granting office if you have at your host institution, the national contact points, the ERC websites, the work program for each year is on the net. Guide for applicants, the participant portal, the funding and tender portal in another name. There are plenty of information events in your country or in other countries, all available online with often a very detailed list of frequently asked questions. Then I really highly recommend to talk with others, talk with experts, peers, grantees who already obtained the grant, officers, your professors, etc. Be on time, check the application websites, get familiarized with the requirements, opportunities, and deadlines. Ask for help. It's really important because none of us know everything at the first time. And ask help, especially for reading your draft proposal, organizing mock interviews. This is extremely useful. We know it from experience. There are also plenty of online support available. Many NCPs and research support offices offer online trainings. And so as my final recommendation is that please stay motivated and apply, because without applying, you will never be able to make it. And we know that the ERC grants are prestigious, but many succeed at successive reapplications. So please don't get discouraged, but if you fail at the first or even the second time, take it as a source, a valuable source of information for improving your application and your CV. And I try to collect all the online sources. We have ERC classes available on YouTube where you can find detailed explanation in 5 or 6, I remember, if I remember correctly, different videos explaining how to prepare your application. Of course, the funding and tender portal, additional opportunities are summarized on our website under the page called additional opportunities. And I recommend also the website of EuroAccess Malta and also the national contact point of Malta. And the contact person is Lily, who is the organizer of today's event. I would like to thank you for your attention. And of course, I'm ready to take your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Janka. Thank you for inspiring them and motivating them. You put some very important points on the widening participation there. And in my upcoming presentation, I will address and I will talk a bit more about the mentoring initiative, which we are soon launching. And we hope that participants will be able to benefit from it. We have 2 questions. I don't know if you see them in the chat box.
No, unfortunately.
If you okay, I can.
Now, yes, I could activate it.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going up. Is this grant just for European countries? I'm for Iran. This is the first question, right? Absolutely not. Of course, you are more than welcome. Now, of course, sorry, you will need to find a European lab or a lab in an associated country. But we don't care about the nationality of our applicants.
Absolutely. Any nationality, any researchers from any nationality are welcome.
Yeah. When I am applying, should I be a postdoc researcher? Well, officially not, because you can apply. I mean, if you apply right at the moment when you obtain your PhD, you are already eligible. So if you didn't spend any time yet after obtaining your PhD doing postdoc research, officially and following our guidelines, you are eligible. But of course, you will be a very, very extremely early researcher without any real experience yet, even not as of an early postdoc. So let's say that is really at the very first moment of your eligibility window, and hence I would evaluate your chances a bit lower than somebody who was already, let's say, 2 years. But if I am now thinking, actually you have to have 2 to 7 years from your PhD. So I don't know what would you do within that 2 years. You can actually be in an industry. So we don't really require that you are a postdoc per se, but typically our applicants are postdocs. But you can come from, you can do like, you go from after your PhD to the industry, you spend there 1 or 2 or 3 years, and then you decide that you want to go back to research and you apply. If that is also possible, of course, I don't know what would be your post in industry. Let's say you would be a staff scientist, for example. That's perfectly possible.
Typically, yes, the success rate shows that those with the postdoc is a bit higher, and especially those with Marie Curie fellowship.
Yes, indeed. And it's we don't exclude applicants coming with a different background and who went off academia and went to the industry and then want to return. Definitely not. But the vast majority of our applicants follow the traditional route, and after obtaining the PhD, they continue somewhere as a postdoc.
We have some more questions coming in.
Yes, I'm scrolling down. I have over a decade of practical research experience in a number of industries, but I do not hold a PhD. Just is there a way? So, not directly by ERC. You would first need to obtain a PhD. And that for that you have various instruments to do so, even in an industrial setting. For example, the Marie Skłodowska-Curie action offers many different possibilities to cover such a research and to have a PhD at the end. Okay. And then I'm doing pharma. Is it allowed? Yes, of course. I have a PhD in education since I was 17. Yes, no problem. It's perfectly fine. How to avail the mentoring and fellowship training? Okay, so for this, yeah, we have, so for the mentoring and fellowship training, these are two different things. The fellowship initiative, the visiting fellowship initiative is according to an agreement that is closed between a country and from a widening participation region and another country in Europe. And so you need to check on our website what this agreement actually says. And then all the details of such a visiting fellowship and the arrangement for such a visiting fellowship is explained in this agreement document. Then for the mentoring, this is really something new. And I need to go also to our website to check how this is implemented. In fact, the idea is that somebody who has already experience with ERC is going to mentor someone who wants to learn how to obtain an ERC on an individual basis. But exactly how this is done, I don't know yet, I have to admit.
I'm going to address it shortly in the presentation.
Okay, okay. And then how can I find host institutions? So yes, there are many different ways. For example, you can go on the funding and tender portal and find there and just search for partners and search for opportunities. You can go to our website and scroll the already funded projects and see for the topic what you would like to do research in and see which are the typical host institutions that you find the most interesting projects conducted. Then just reading the articles, the publications, and see in which host institutions those researchers are who publish those papers. This would be the 3 ways I would go.
And even EuroAccess, there is quite a lot of organizations there that offer these host initiatives.
Yes. I see no more questions.
Let me continue with the presentation, with my presentation, because it might be maybe there will be some more questions and
yes.
which I will be able to address.
Sure.
Here. So, yes, I would like just to start to introduce a little bit my organization. MCST, the Malta Council for Science and Technology, basically hosts all the national contact points for Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe now. We are a small team. However, we have different areas, and myself, I take the responsibility of the European Research Council and also the Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions. So we are the officially appointed entity, and we also take care of the EuroAccess Malta, the portal, and also the service center. Okay, this is our team, just to introduce you. Ante is our coordinator, the national coordinator. And here I also included the links of our social media channels. So please, you will receive that presentation. So please just follow us and keep updated. What do we do? Basically, we handhold the applicants. This is not only for ERC, but also for all Horizon Europe calls. So we can identify the right call for you. We can organize one-to-one sessions, help you with partner searches. No, it's not the case for ERC, but yet for the other Horizon Europe calls. We can review your proposal before submission. Of course, it's confidential, advise you on any administrative questions that you might have. And also we can help you once you are successful with the implementation part. In particular, for ERC, we have quite a lot of supporting materials. In the past months, we have organized an intensive platform with a private consultant who is very experienced and well-known around the world with their successful rates in ERC. So we have a platform with a lot of video materials and also a paper type of materials. But basically, this course was, I think, was very helpful for potential participants. What we also organized in the past months is these proposal reading days. It was mentioned by Janka, so we had successful proposals and we provided them to the participants who were interested to review them, and we discussed basically the tips and tricks there from the successful proposals. Of course, we'll help you to identify the best suitable call for you, and we can review your proposal before submission. And this is not on the technical part, but it's more on the structure and what is missing, maybe tips and tricks in general. We have some support schemes funded by the national funding. So for this year, the PF to MT could not be realized because of Corona. This was related to Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions. The networking scheme probably won't be realized neither because it involves traveling. However, we have launched the iPass Plus, which I will talk to you in the next slide because it might be something useful for you, and the ERC support scheme, which is also probably of your interest. The EAC support, it's also going to be launched soon. It's related to support for the EAC accelerator and the private companies. So the iPass, what is that? In particular, we have two options, and option B is related to Horizon Europe proposal. So if you intend to submit a proposal as coordinator or being the researcher applying for ERC, with a host entity in Malta, of course, let's say the University of Malta, you will be eligible to receive funding to support your proposal application, basically. So you will have up to 5,000 euros to hire an experienced consultant based in Malta or abroad, this doesn't matter, who will help you write the actual application or else review it and provide you with additional tips and tricks in addition to what I also can do for you. So the call at the moment is now open with deadline for June. It's a very, very short application. It involves just a few hours of preparation probably, but of course you need to have your draft idea there. But we'll be also launching another call later on, probably in October or November. So if you are interested to apply for the starting grant, which next year will be with deadline in January, you will be able to benefit and get additional help. The other thing that I want to mention is the mentoring initiative, which has been just mentioned, and there was a question related to it. So basically, what we're going to do, we're combining, we call it the ERC support scheme. This is going to be launched very shortly in June. We're just waiting for the final signatures of our ministry, and we are going to launch this call. It will be open for at least a month. Maybe we'll try even for a month and a half. And there are two options. You can apply for both as well. So the first one is the mentoring initiative. So how we are going to help you here? We have applied already with the executive agency of ERC, and we have received confirmation that we'll be supported. So we are launching the national call. So the researchers will apply requesting particular, for example, they say I would like to be mentored or coached or advised in particular field, and the executive agency will provide us with a very big list with potential candidates. So then we have to match these experts with our local applicants. And then we again can cover up to 5,000 euros for those mentors to help our potential applicants. Now, these activities can be realized within 1 year after our local grant agreement, and then you will be ready to prepare your proposal in the future and apply for the particular ERC call you are interested in. Option B provides up to 2,000 euros to attend trainings. These trainings can be either physical or online. Nowadays, with the coronavirus, there is quite a lot of online activities. They have to be related to ERC proposal writing. And once again, they can be organized locally or abroad. So we are covering up to 2,000 euros for these fees, and if needed, some maybe travel and accommodation expenses. In total, one applicant can receive up to 7,000 euros for this ERC support scheme. How it will work? We are going to provide a pre-financing of 40%, 40% once you submit the final report, which once again is very short report just to explain the activities done. And of course, we need invoices and receipts. And the final 20% will be only given once the applicant submits the proposal to ERC. We are not, of course, linking to the success of this application, but a good application has to be prepared and submitted. So if an applicant applies for this ERC support scheme and does not submit, then maybe something happened, change of plans or whatever, does not submit then to ERC, then will not just receive the final 20%. So this scheme is going to be launched now in June, and the deadline will be probably towards mid-July, because this is also the time that the executive agency is going to provide us the list. Then, of course, we'll have a local evaluation, and you will be informed shortly after if you are successful or not. Little bit about EuroAccess. Basically I don't know if you heard about this portal, but this is probably one of the most visited portals in the world related to researchers. So it supports the mobility of the researchers. It also provides a lot of information about living and working abroad. There is a lot of job opportunities, hosting opportunities, and a lot of events. So I really would invite you to visit it. So there are a few instruments on the EuroAccess. So there is the central EuroAccess portal, which is managed directly by the European Commission. And then we have the national portals which are linked to that portal as well. We do have the physical service centers, and there is also, I would like to point out that there is also EuroAccess Worldwide, which is, this is for countries out of Europe, in Asia, Latin America, and so on, Australia even. So EuroAccess really covers and helps researchers from all around the world. This is just a screenshot of our portal. You can see also the link is euroaccess.org.mt. Please visit, register, it's very simple registration, and you will be able to jump in this huge amount of opportunities. So annually, there is more than 80,000 jobs for researchers, for scientists, jobs being published on that portal. Currently, there is over 8,000, which are active and open for applications. So there is quite a lot of opportunities there. Also, there is usually more than 300 hosting offers. This might be offers for MSCA or ERC, sorry, 800, not 300, but there is also over 300 funding offers for different funding programs that might also fund your research. There are more than 17,000 entities. These are potential host entities. Nevertheless, I would like to highlight that in Malta, University of Malta always is welcoming researchers that would like to submit their application and to be hosted by University of Malta. There are more than 60,000 researchers, so there is quite a lot of potential both for the entity side of view and for the researchers. And please note that you will find quite a big number of MSCA and ERC positions being published and being funded directly from already successful and ongoing projects. Just a slide on the typical career stage. Basically, the question about the postdoc, this typically can be funded by Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions. Before that, you would look for the Erasmus Plus program. And then, ideally, but as we said, not necessarily, after your postdoc, you can go for the starting grant. And then, depending on your career stage, you would then be eligible for the consolidator or the advanced grant. In Malta, we only had one starting grant from the University of Malta, who was also a fellow before, a Marie Curie fellow, then applied for the starting grant. Now we are looking after the end of his project, which should come shortly in end. We're looking to see his application for the consolidator grant. I just prepared a very short video just which is going to basically explain you a bit the EuroAccess career development tools. So let's watch the video.
Are you a researcher looking for the next step in your career? EuroAccess is the European Commission's research portal that you will want to visit. Visit EuroAccess and connect with top-class universities, research organizations, and businesses all around Europe. Thousands of jobs, funding, and hosting opportunities for all research fields and career stages are available at your fingertips. Are you looking to optimize your career? Whether you're an early career researcher or a leader in your field, EuroAccess has something valuable to offer. Check the EuroAccess Career Development section and get yourself prepared for your next career move. Need career guidance? Access the EuroAccess tools and learning resources. Use the self-assessment materials and learn how to better articulate your value to employers. Reflect upon your skills. Explore your values and motivations. Investigate your career options. Get advice on how to plan your career path and reach your goals. Challenge yourself and discover your possibilities in or beyond academia. Get answers to your questions. What competencies are important to employers? In which jobs can I use my skills? Get inspiration from researchers working in different employment sectors. Gain practical information for getting the job. Learn how to write a competency-based CV and improve your interview skills with academic and non-academic employers. Do you want to become an entrepreneur or a team leader in your field? Have a look at the large collection of training resources published on EuroAccess. Are you moving to another country and want to make the best out of your new job? Test your intercultural competence and learn how to integrate and adapt to new cultural environments. Find your nearest EuroAccess Career Development Center and discuss your challenges and plans. No matter your career endeavors, EuroAccess will propose a solution for you, be it mobility or professional advancement and research. Treat your research project and career development with the same priority. Do not waste your time. Visit EuroAccess today, register, and boost your research career tomorrow.
So basically, yes, this was my presentation. Just I didn't mention that for the mentoring initiative.
Good afternoon from Bonn, Germany, or maybe good morning, or even good evening, depending on where you are. In any case, welcome to our webinar, The Benefits of the EuroAccess Portal for...
This was just the other video. Sorry, I was thinking somebody is joining here. So yes, here are my contact details. You can contact me. And for the mentoring initiative, you can stay tuned and find soon more information on our MCST website. I would also invite you to register on our MCST website because if you register, you will receive the mail shots that we do send regularly. In particular, we have a section for ERC, and that's how we communicate mainly through people that might be interested for it. So now I don't know if there is any questions in the chat box. Okay, just for the EuroAccess, a comment. Yes, I think we can now proceed. If there are no more questions, or if they come up, we can address them later on. We can now proceed with one inspiring presentation from Matthew Ajus, who will share his personal experience and hopefully will be an inspiration for you too. Matthew, please share the screen and proceed and present yourself.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me today. I will be sharing my screen very soon. Do I need special permissions or? Okay.
We gave you already.
Yeah. All right. Can you see my screen? Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So good morning, everyone, and thank you for this invitation. I will be talking about my experience with ERC. So I applied as a postdoctorate with ERC. The experience that I had as a postdoctorate with regards to ERC, also the opportunity that I had to apply for a Marie Curie, which at present I am on in Roma 3. And the collective experience from this, how it helps me with looking for funding and how ERC is an attractive funding for scientists who have their own research ideas. So a brief background about me. I did my undergrad and master's at the University of Malta. I did a PhD in Ireland. Then I applied for a postdoctorate ERC with Katrin Reichert. I will discuss the project, and later now I'm at Roma 3. The ERC project, which is still ongoing, as you can see, this is from the European Commission website. It's still ongoing until 2022. And as an example, this is a starting grant, the ERC starting grant, as you can see over here. The funding was of 1.8 million. And I would like to kind of show how my career evolved from over the years. So when I applied, it was 2 years since my PhD. I finished my PhD in 2013. I took a short break. Basically, I returned to Malta and came here to settle here a bit. And then I was looking to apply for a postdoctorate. And this project was really exciting, EuroLab. At that stage, I had 6 publications and my citations number was at about 68. I'm just mentioning these numbers just to give you an idea of what my CV was like at that time. As mentioned earlier, it's not crucial or of the most importance how many publications you have or many citations you have. It's more of the quality that you can provide to a project. The project itself is really focused on fundamental understanding of our Earth. And without going into the science and avoiding making this as a science lecture, I'm just showing this picture of plate tectonics. And we assume that we understand how plate tectonics work. But in actual, the aim of the to evidence and to really understand such a fundamental aspect of our planet. So we needed new data, which involves state-of-the-art equipment to get a rich data set. And just to give you a brief, basically we went in the middle of the ocean between South America and Africa and the Atlantic Ocean and installed 39 ocean bottom seismometers. So here it gives you a quick idea how the excellence of the project and kind of the innovation of it. Until now, there was no ocean bottom seismometers in the ocean, and this experiment wanted to break that barrier to install these oceans in a very remote area. And basically, this involves a lot of money. So this is also important to consider. Why do I need this amount of money? ERC gives you more than a 1 million funds euro for your research. So you really need to justify why you're going to spend so much money. And of course, in this experiment, we needed chips, we needed state-of-the-art equipment, we need to work with engineers and top scientists. So that justifies why we're spending so much money. And what we brought new is that for the first time, we have an image of what's inside the Earth from the surface, literally from the sediments down to 1,000 kilometers. And what you see here are just like an X-ray of what's inside the Earth. So this really brought new knowledge and it gives us understanding of what's happening beneath the plates, how plates are formed, what is a tectonic plate, what is driving the mechanism of tectonic plate. So really, this is fundamental research. And just a few months ago in January, we published this paper in Nature where it described the processes that we have observed. I've been involved in this project from the early stages. So I got on board on the project in the early of 2016 and of 2015. So I was involved in going on the ship, seeing the instruments going in the ocean, and then 1 year later, going back again, recovering these instruments. So for me, it was a big experience. And I'm still benefiting from the project. As you can see in this paper, I was the first author for this publication. And so the summary of this is that we want fundamental evidence for research which has a global impact. Understanding, in this case, plate tectonics, has a global impact to society in a way. My experience, I would like to divide it into two. There's the global element of it, and then there's the personal experience of it. So the global element, basically working on an international, large-scale, groundbreaking experiment. During my PhD, I was also working in an international environment, but the group was very small, and we were in a small lab. Whereas in this example, as you can see, there were people from around the world with different expertise, and going in different places around the world. Another advantage of ERC is that it provides appropriate funding. To do such an experiment, you need a lot of funding if you're going to go for top equipment, for the resources, to do the research, dissemination, meaning to go at conferences, present your work, in a way advertise the project, get the community excited about it. Also funding for outreach, plenty of opportunities for networking and collaborations. This is not just for the principal investigator, but also for your entire team. So I was not the principal investigator. I was part of the scientific team as a postdoctorate, and I benefited from all of this for the networking, dissemination, collaborations, and perhaps as a scientist, one of the most important things is the publications. And so far, we've had numerous publications, of more than 20 publications. So the impact of such an experiment is quite broad, and also it gave the opportunity to not just focus on the prime aim of the experiment, but also to do side projects or kind of related with the projects or collaborations with other people, or maybe doing something similar somewhere else in the world. So the collaboration which leads to publications is the opportunity are endless, basically. Then on a personal experience, it made me appreciate the research life cycle. So from the project idea, which in this case was designed by Katrin Reichert, but the fact that I was right from the start, from the experiment, gave me the whole idea of what it takes to implement the project idea, to get the funding, to set up the team. So basically, Katrin Reichert was the principal investigator, then created the team of postdoctorates to work on this project. And in itself, that was a big experience. For me, for example, I traveled to the UK. All the travels were paid for the interview, meeting other people. So the entire experience, even to be part of the process, was a learning curve for me. The scientific experiment itself. So in the past, during my PhD, I just obtained data which was collected from some other people. In this case, I was seeing the whole process, literally going in the field, collecting the data, processing the data, and all the way to publications. The personal experience is a big career push, as I will highlight in the following slides. And also it helped me mature as a scientist, which makes me appreciate more the efforts that needs to be done to collect the data, how challenging certain environments are. The instruments themselves are in the ocean floor. They are left on their own, working autonomously and under challenging environment. explore new ideas and techniques. Thanks to the principal investigator, Kate, allowed me to venture into new ideas, which actually led us to explore and discover new things. For example, the original experiment was to study just the plate tectonics in the upper 200 kilometers of the Earth. And then I was interested to look deeper and deeper, which gave us the ability to look into 1,000 kilometers depth, which led to the Nature paper. So if you are in such an environment, you are usually free also to explore new ideas and new techniques to make the best use of the experiment. Something I would like to highlight is time to apply for funding. So in the previous talks, we talked about the opportunities there are, but I think it's very important to dedicate and allocate time to focus in writing a proposal. And also ERC gives this opportunity. So as a postdoctorate in ERC, I was given the freedom and the time to write my own research ideas, which led to applying for Marie Curie. I would like also to mention that scientists are well paid. And in a way, this is important because most of the scientists, we were an international team. They are coming from different countries, different backgrounds, and you need to move in another country, you need to rent a place where to stay, you have travels, if you visit home. So the pay needs to kind of be attractive in a way to help you fund these situations. Also funding for mobility, especially if you're traveling, moving to another country. Okay, so after I finished my time in the UK on the EuroLab ERC project, now you can see my CV, how it looked like when I applied for a Marie Curie. And 3 years passed, my publications doubled from 6, they moved up to 13. And my citations also more than doubled. So now I have 107 citations and my H index was 7. And this was thanks to the ERC experience. And then I applied for Marie Curie. The first time that I applied, I got a very high score, above 90, and I was shortlisted. Then I applied again the second time, and then I was chosen. I would like to emphasize this, not to dishearten people. If your publication numbers are low, do not be disheartened for applying for funding. What is the most important thing is the research idea that carries most weight. I would like to just say a short story. When I was looking for funding in the UK, I had a meeting with a funding advisor, and when I entered the door, this person asked for my name. He went on Google Scholar and he saw that my H index at that time was 5. And his response was like, we don't need to discuss anything. Like your numbers are very low, you will not be accepted. And that's it, the meeting was over. And I was disappointed by this, but it didn't stop me from applying for Marie Curie, and it got accepted. And because the European Commission is interested in research ideas, as mentioned earlier, a bottom-up approach. So from the scientist moving upwards. And this is, I can comment about it from my personal experience. The Marie Curie, I'm mentioning this because if you intend to apply for an ERC, although it's not a prerequisite, it does help. And if you are early, you just finished your PhD, do consider applying for a Marie Curie and moving on to an ERC. It's open for all stages, and it's a great opportunity for researchers to investigate their own research ideas. So at least in my PhD, I was working on other people's ideas, even in the ERC in a way, but then I had my own idea. And the most important thing, as I already said, is that you have a good research idea. The second important thing is to find the right supervisor and host to deliver your idea. I would like also to emphasize that applying is also part of your experience. Even if you are not selected, your project is not selected, the process of applying is a very interesting process. And if you apply for other fundings, which are not Marie Curie or not ERC, they follow a similar process, like the idea, the state of the art, how it is implemented, the timeline of your project, the funding. So it's an experience in itself. It helps you grow as a scientist, part of the life cycle for research life cycle. Okay, this is just a brief summary of my current project as a Marie Curie. It's still ongoing. I mean, in the last few months, and basically I was doing seismic scans from the surface down to 80 kilometers in the central Mediterranean, which has never been done before, particularly in this area down here. So this was a new idea, exciting. It was never been done. There's a lot of impact on it, especially on a European level. So this is just to give you an example of my project. Okay, so 3 years after I applied for the first time for a Marie Curie and since the ERC experience, and once again, you can see the jump in my academic life. So publications now doubled again from 13 to 24. The citations again doubled, and now my H-index is increasing. And this is the collaborative, the joint experience from both projects. Of course, there are publications related with the two, which leads us, gives me new opportunities, what to apply. ERC is one of the opportunities that I'm looking for, but not just ERC, there's different funding opportunities available. So about the ERC, we already saw that there are 3 different types of grants. So the key question you need to start with is, do you have a scientific question you would like to answer? This is the very first thing. This is the way I see it. Maybe it's subjective, but this is the way I see it. Do you have a strong research record? It was mentioned that you might not, it's not important to have a Nature paper. Okay, fine. But you need to show that you are able to do research, be investigative and be able to publish, collaborate with other scientists, and this is the process of a scientist. Which grant is appropriate for you? As we saw, the numbers of years since your PhD, you need to answer, why do I need more than 1 million? If your idea doesn't require so much money, maybe this is not the type of grant that you might want to look for, or if it requires a lot of funding, then you need to justify it. How good is your idea? Is this the next big thing in your field? I think this is very important. ERC looks for excellence. And personally, for me, I'm working on this side of the project. I need to make sure and that my idea is important, has a global impact. Very important, as highlighted before me, stay in contact with the national contact point of Malta if you're going to apply here, or the country you're going to apply with. They provide guidance in choosing the right funding, submitting the application. Also, if there's some support. And something I would like to emphasize again is the time to write the proposal. From my experience, to write for the Marie Curie, I needed at least 1 month dedicated full time to write the proposal. I needed at least 3 months to start preparing, like contacting supervisor, host, and formulating my ideas. For ERC, you probably need 1 year or more, 1 month or 2 months to write the proposal in full time, and more months maybe to generate the idea. If you're going to have postdoctorate, what these postdocs will be doing, if you need laboratories, if you need facilities, what do you need them for, and make the budget for your project. I'll finish there, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you very much, Matthew. It was very inspiring, I would say. We have hopes and fingers crossed for your potential ERC application in the future. Once you have the right time, of course, to apply, because as you rightly pointed, you need to prepare quite well for ERC grant. In my opinion, you have like a very good CV, and you have the right chances and opportunity together with a good idea, which I'm sure you have to apply. So our fingers crossed for you.
Thank you.
So there was a question here. My problem is how to find supervisor. Well, for ERC, you don't need a supervisor. So if you are interested in MSCA, I would advise you to maybe just have a look at our webinar last week. We had a MSCA dedicated webinar. On EuroAccess, I did posted some hosting opportunities with supervisors from Malta. So if you go on our page under news, you will find hosting opportunities with listed the contact details of the supervisors and their research field. So if you are interested in that, yes, you can find a supervisor there. If you are interested to apply for ERC, you don't need a supervisor. You will be the main PI. So you will be the so-called supervisor in that case. You will be able to create a team, and you will be the PI. I don't know if this answers the question. Are there any more questions? Okay. If there are no more questions, maybe we can, I don't know if Janka, you would like to add something?
Maybe just one thought that I really like the presentation of Matthew, and I would like to emphasize that indeed the process of application is an experience and valuable learning curve and source of information and really unreplaceable experience on its own. I highly recommend it, and many of our actually now grant holders, but even applicants I talked to at conferences just concluded the same as Matthew said, that it reshaped their thinking and approach towards the problem, the scientific question they had in mind. And they were just not the same researchers after writing the application as compared to who they were before.
Absolutely, yes. Maybe one thing that because I keep on saying and delivering that message to potential applicants, because they often come just 2-3 months before the deadline, and they think, okay, it's just 15 pages, I can write it. That's why it's very rarely that you will see a successful applicant who just decided last moment to apply. You need to put everything in your head. You need to plan ahead. So please do not leave it in the last moment. Please start preparing in advance if you want to be successful. But even if you want to have this good experience of applying, yet again, it's not going to happen in 1 month. So please plan ahead. That's my main message.
Yes, maybe I can add one thought to that quickly, that we even had examples for advanced grantees where even the sentences were not finished. So it was clear that the prof didn't really spend enough time. And so this is not age specific. Mm-hmm. At every career stage can happen that you just didn't allocate the right amount of time. And that's why we emphasize it.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps I can add more about my experience is to talk to your current supervisors. So they probably understand your ambitions. So when I was in the UK, Kate, who was my supervisor there, of course, went through the whole process to apply for ERC and other funding. So the moment I told her that I would like some time to write a proposal, she knew exactly that I need time to do this. Like, she cannot expect me to do this just a few hours in the evening. Like, I need to be fully focused. So I encourage people who maybe are interested to apply for funding to talk to their bosses or to their peers about their idea or their intention to do this, just to get the full flexibility they need from their work. It's a job in itself in applying.
Thank you. We have prepared a short poll. It's just few questions, like a feedback from the webinar. So now you should see it on the screen. If you can just please, I'm asking all the participants if you can just give 1 minute. I really thank you for your time and your participation, especially to our speakers, to Janka and to Matthew, for their excellent presentations and experience sharing. Thank you so much. So this was the end of our webinar, and please do contact me with any questions that you might have, and looking forward to be in touch with you.